Hi everyone, this is Tom with the LEC recap of the 7th week of the LEC Summer Split. This was the penultimate week, as I said in my preview. So next week we will have the final week of the LEC Summer Split. But this was already a very important week because for many teams, the playoffs race was incredibly close. Their chances of making the playoffs was incredibly close. So let's get into the games that were played, recap the action, and share some highlights as usual. We kicked off with Schalke versus XL Esports, and Schalke had the interesting composition that they put Broken Blade on a Camille with a Jinx and a Thresh in the bot lane. But I think while that was very strong, and obviously Broken Blade is a very good carry player, they gave XL the opportunity to play the Lucian and Diana combination, which is an extremely strong combination. And XL had the last pick, and they picked Jax into the Camille. So with Jax's E, I believe it is, he can completely counter the auto attacks through which Camille does damage. The early game was very quiet, but both teams kind of traded back and forth with the mid jungle a bit later. I think Schalke did get a bit of an advantage here because they were able to convert this into a Drake. Still, I think that XL throughout the game really found their pacing. They slowly started to build towards a lead despite Schalke getting that first Drake. And it was mainly New Duck and Marcoon who were playing well for the team. This mid-jungle duo has steadily been improving. Obviously, they had a very explosive first week, but I think overall, if you look at the synergy that they've been building, I think that has been steadily improving. They just applied very good pressure on Schalke wherever they were. The kills were even, but XL was able to make the most out of the kills. I think that's a trend we've seen develop more throughout this summer split, where some teams might go even in kills, but maybe the enemy kills their jungle. So then, what are you going to do if all you get is a kill on their support, right? Then obviously the other team is going to be stronger and able to do more around the map. And I think this was the case as well in Schalke versus XL. XL was just simply stronger. I think that Schalke had very little to say once XL started finding their lead and started finding those skirmishes, which they've been increasingly good at executing. So a relatively easy win for XL overall, I would say. We then went to Vitality versus Misfits, a very important game for both teams, because for Misfits, a win would mean a guaranteed lock-in for the playoffs. For Vitality, it would keep their dream alive. Now, Vitality had the interesting decision to play Evelynn for Selfmade. It was obviously a comfort pick from him. We've seen it at Worlds where he had standout highlight plays. He played it one time this year as well. I think he lost that game though. But it's his champion, signature champion. But Misfit answered with a pretty tanky composition. They had the Mundo, and they chose for scaling in Ryze, which is a late game very good. They also had an Nautilus, which also helped protect the Ryze, like the squishy carries like Ryze against something like an Evelynn. Still, I think this game early on, you could see that Misfits was stronger. The leader had a very unfortunate error. I don't know what he was doing. He just walked into Veteo, and Veteo killed him very easily with the Ryze. So Misfits pulled ahead, and they entered the mid game with a small lead. But I think Vitality had a great turnaround in this game. They had great engage, where Labrov especially was playing a very good game overall, and had this split in general. I think he's been playing extremely well. I think it's gone unnoticed, but great engage from him. Got Selfmade a few kills. Selfmade on that Evelynn obviously able to hyper carry. And Vitality swung that back game. Still, it was incredibly even. And from there on, I could see that Vitality was stagnating a bit. They were not really sure what to do with their lead. And this gave Misfits the opportunity to climb back into the game. And Vitality, as we've seen a few times right now, just wasn't able to team fight properly. And I have a clip to show you what I mean.
Misfits are getting really chunked out here. Shigenda's on the side, Selfmade's on the side, Labrov is on the side. Can they find an engage though?
Kabe with Collector. And Red Gun, White Gun is very good if they overcommit and they cannot immediately find the kill. They're now getting ready to kick the fight off, but Labrov is only going to get a clean engage! Here we go! Wombo combo! Misfits! They're playing with fire, but Kabe is firing back. Big damage now coming in. Kabe going to grab that one. Woo! Double kill coming in for VTO.
Then we went on to Astralis versus Mad Lions, and I think that early on the teams were pretty even. Astralis found a few good kills, and they were actually very proactive. They were hunting around the map, which is normally something you'd assume Mad Lions maybe would do, but Mad Lions showed that they had adapted a more control-y style. When Astralis was on the hunt, roaming around the map looking for players to get catch off guard, Mad Lions simply put their split pushers in the lane and farmed gold, and this allowed them to stay ahead of the goal, even if Astralis had a big gold lead. Now, with those kills, Astralis managed to develop pressure, and with that pressure, they were able to get the clock ticking and got a few Drakes. Now, obviously, given which Drake it is, it can be a game deciding factor if you have the team, and it also depends a lot on the composition you have, obviously. But it was the Mountain Drake, and Astralis was pretty tanky, so I think that this was a very strong Drake for them to get, and it would be a very tough one for Mad Lions to have to fight against. Still, you could see that in team fights, especially come mid-game, that Mad Lions' gold lead had converted into just more items from them, and this helped them a lot in the team fights. Now, it was still an incredibly even game, but even though Astralis managed to get that Mountain Soul, Mad Lions was the one who used the smaller advantages they did get to get more done around the map from this point. So you could see that Astralis started to be indecisive. Mad Lions, on the other hand, had their game plan set from the start, seemingly, and they just followed the script, and they won that game. So very impressively played by them. I think it was also pretty refreshing to see Astralis play so proactively, and yeah, overall a pretty entertaining match, I would say. Then we went to G2 versus SK Gaming, and SK Gaming once again played the Mundo in the jungle. Exciting game was G2 playing LeBlanc for Caps, which is one of his favorite champions to play, and obviously a champion with highlight potential as well. G2 did get the early first blood with Jankos on his birthday striking for them, but SK did strike back very swiftly, and I think they had G2 had a very poor engage in the bot lane, and SK capitalized very well on this. It was just a very messy game from G2 overall. They had a small gold lead, but they kept just making sloppy plays, and SK kept using their advantages or just cleaner play in those moments to get objectives and push towers. And I have a clip to show you exactly what I mean.
The good thing for SK is, of course, they were able to pick up one of those early Drakes, so they kind of stopped G2 from scaling up too quickly with those. And Jezu, yeah, I'm sorry, mate. You're pretty... Oh, flashes away. Heartbreaker misses. Jankos! 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 No! On his birthday, Reckless flashes in for the kill. And will be able to secure it, but Trees is going to try and chase down this Kai'Sa. The Killer Instinct will give him the shield. TP's coming in from SK as they look for a fight that perhaps they can take. Reckless trying to fight against the Mundo, but you just don't beat the Doctor. Trees gets...
Still, the game went pretty even overall, and if you saw Jankos mess up a bit in that play just now, he did redeem himself pretty well in a very good team fight from him a few moments later.
Around dragon fights, around these team fights, getting towards Soul, getting towards Elder. And Caps has TP'd into this fight. Caps going in, Lilith there on the front line, pops the stopwatch, TP coming in, Wonder dives onto Jezu on the back line. The most gold in the game, but that stopwatch gonna keep him alive. Wonder trying to do what he can, but Treats is on a killing spree, and Jezu is still alive. Watch that Tristana. Reckless has dived in and killed off Blue, but Tristana still there, and now G2, only 3 members strong, had to fight against 4. Jankos, the greatest Cinder in the game, apparently, as he manages to get Caps a double. A beautiful scat of the week from Jankos from the side. He goes in with the Leona as well, but Genax is just trying to fight for his life. Can't quite.
And gradually, G2 started finding their flow. They started finding their rhythm. They started getting into the game as the team has historically kind of been. With this roster, it's been a bit different, but G2 in previous years was always that team that needed to warm up a bit, and then in the late game, they were super strong, and that is what happened this game as well. And yeah, SK was spread thin with G2 running around the map and attacking from all flanks. So G2 in the end ended up winning that game. And then we went to Rogue versus Fnatic, which was for many people like the most exciting match of the week, because it was the 2 #1 teams playing against each other and determining which one for the time being would remain #1 in the standings. Now, I think that given all the hype, I don't know if this game was just extra disappointing or not, but Rogue was way too dominant. Fnatic had nothing to say in this game. They were incredibly sloppy, and Rogue was just too damn clean. It was very one-sided. I don't know how else to put it, and I don't really know how much time I should spend on this game, because from the get-go, Rogue was just better. They were communicating clearly. They were playing around Fnatic extremely well. You could see that they knew exactly what Fnatic's plans were, and I think maybe the best play of the entire weekend is from Inspire to show you just how good Rogue was communicating with each other and how well they were reading Fnatic.
There was a small window there where Adam's TP was still down, and I thought that maybe Rogue could force it, but the minion wave wasn't great for Rogue in the bot lane, so they decided not to overcommit. Larssen trading very aggressively onto Niski, having completed his first item already, actually coming out ahead in the health.
They don't know Inspired.
Oh my god, there's no way Inspired read this play.
They don't know Inspired here. He knew the Scuttle Crab was available on the top side. He knew that Bipper would want to go for it, and now he's in the perfect spot. Inspired just reads them. Crescent Guard's going to knock back Niski. Larssen so low, but Inspired! How are you?
17 minutes into the game, Inspired had 8 kills, which is just crazy. There was nothing Fnatic could do. Rogue played it super cleanly, played super well. Very good game from them overall. Then we went to day 2, and we had Astralis versus Shogun of Fear. And Astralis understood exactly what they needed to do in order to get a win here. Broken Blade has been a hyper carry for Shogun of Fear this entire split. Has been undoubtedly their best performing player. And Shogun of Fear understood, well, okay, well, then we probably just need to shut him down early on, don't we? Even though Broken Blade was playing on Gwen, and, you know, Gwen has a good learning curve. Early on, he was put on an 0-2 deficit, and this just scaled throughout the game. You could see that White Knight was far more present in every fight. Broken Blade was left farming in the side lanes just in attempt to catch up. Astralis once again had this very active, proactive, aggressive play, getting in the face of Shogun of Fear. And this was extremely well done. I think that for them, it was maybe one of the best games I've seen them play this split. It wasn't super clean. I guess that's not something I expect from Astralis anyway. But they really played very well into what Shogun of Fear was doing. And overall, it was just it's a pretty comfortable win, which is a trend we're gonna see with overall in this second day, that I can't really pay too much attention to all of the games because some of them were just very simple to summarize, and this is one of them. Astralis was just a super strong team in this, and I don't know what else to say. Astralis just won. They played well. Okay, that's it. We then go to XL versus Vitality. Now this one gets a bit more dissected because XL had a bit of a weird composition. They had a Diana and a Rakan, who are 2 champions that really want to go in. But then they also had a Jason and a Aphelios. Now, Aphelios obviously is maybe a bit more of a mid-rangey kind of champion, but he still wants to keep his distance. And then Jace wants to poke from far. So there was a bit of dissonance, in my opinion, from that composition. But XL played it very well. They got an early lead against Vitality, and I think Vitality just once again showed that they're very uncoordinated as a team. They had at one point, XL was extending into the bot lane of Vitality, and Vitality thought, okay, here we can capitalize. And they sent both their mid laner and the top laner down with a teleport, which, sure, I think they got a kill of this, but they gave up so much in the other lanes. They gave up waves and gold, and it was pretty... you know, you can do that for one lane, but both mid and top, it's a really poor decision in my opinion. So XL kept finding small leads, you know, using those advantages, and with that lead, you could just see that XL found great pressure around the map. They were able to get all 15 plates of the turrets, which gave them so much gold. And I think Vitality, in some sort of desperate attempt, tried to find more skirmishes, tried to run into XL and, you know, take the fight to them. but they just simply weren't coordinated and strong enough. And Marcoon, who was playing the Diana, read them very well and had a couple of great engages just to counter what Vitality was doing. And let's have a look at one of the great plays, like a great fight that just was all made possible by Marcoon's fantastic play.
Fend for now. Labrov got the flash, got the depth charge. Tower will survive the boop. Kryze has got that teleport available, and Vitality looked for the engage. This was caught out by Advienne. Patrick gets tagged by the depth charge, flashes away from Shigend. Advienne's life is sacrificed to allow Patrick and the rest of XL to escape. Selfmade hops over the wall, finds no target, but Kryze is just about arriving. Maku dashes forward with a fantastic moonfall to the skies with a Mercurial Hammer, and cry, 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 Vitality. XL dominate the counter engage. Crown shall be the next target. No flash, no heal, no chance, no hope.
XL was simply stronger and won that game. Then we went to Rogue versus Mad Lions, and this was another interesting game. Obviously, the spring final rematch, so that was very promising. But it turned out that it was more of a Game 5 final rematch. We'll get to that in a bit. Rogue had a heavy dive composition. They had Diana, Lucian, Kalista, they had Rakan, and they had, for the first time in the LEC this year, Tahm Kench in the top lane for Odo Amne. Matt, on the other hand, went with a bit more poke. They had Jace, they had Victor, they had Varus as well. And I think that this game really showed the strength of Mad Lions, because Rogue did Rogue things. They got a gold lead by playing around the map. They farmed towers. They switched their players around so that they could get advantages in the lane. And Mad Lions was kind of left, okay, like responding to that rather than being proactive. They had to be reactive to what Rogue was doing. But Mad Lions played this so incredibly well, because when it mattered, they were going for division. They were going in to push back just a little bit, just to set up objectives, and they got their Drake counter ticking. And this was so incredibly well done for Mad Lions, because they realized that Rogue, with their composition, even if they wanted to dive in, Mad Lions had plenty of time to disengage. They had plenty of time to poke Rogue down before the fight would start, so that Rogue had a health disadvantage even if they would jump in all together. And you could see that Mad Lions knew exactly how to play the composition. So Rogue tried to apply pressure in all lanes and it was fine. But Mad Lions was simply just focusing on staying alive, getting the Drakes. And once they got their Drakes, which they eventually did, Mad Lions simply just ended the game. Just then and there. It was, they got a Soul, they got a Baron, and they ended the game just like that. And the entire game, you could feel that Rogue was ahead in gold and in object, like they in towers and stuff like this, and in kills even. But Mad Lions just said, okay, sure, I'll patiently wait, and once it's my time, I will strike back with one shot and defeat you. And it was very well done by them. Big props to the team for understanding their composition so well and sitting back and playing a very controlled game from their side. Now, then we went to Fnatic versus SK Gaming. I'm not going to spend much time on this game. Not because it wasn't entertaining, it very much was, but it was an incredibly messy game. And I think it was maybe the biggest fiesta that we've seen so far in this summer split. It was not pretty, and I think that this game really should be ignored. Like, if you look at each team's strength, I think, because Fnatic was... Okay, first things first, Fnatic seemed like they would win because they had control over the game and they gained the lead. And I have a clip to show you just how good Fnatic was playing with their engages.
Right. Rengar in team fights, how do I feel about it? Don't have time as Adam's getting yanked again.
There's the paranoia as they look for Adam. Haymaker comes out, that's a lot of damage, but it's not going to be enough. Flash away. A good face breaker there. Bwipo coming in with the Threat of the Hunt as well, but Treats doesn't have the mana. There's the showstopper. Adam takes the highway out of there, manages to use Treats as an express train to safety, and Bwipo gets a double.
Great patience there from Adam. He knows that his mid jungle is on their way, and they're able to keep them alive. Knock up onto Upset.
He manages to get on towards the Lantern as Jezu looks for the damage. Moonlight Vigil coming out, but Hylissang's the only one to tank it up. Lilip still has the thick skin, so should be able to survive this upset. And Hylissang forced away from this bottom tower. Jezu flashing in! The stopwatch, the cleanse. Both of them playing that very mechanically well to escape. Now Blue looking for the flank position. Hylissang flashes forward, and Niski with a TP locks the gold card and locks Blue in place.
Right, so with that lead, you'd expect, okay, Fnatic, step it back a little bit and just play a controlled game, and then you will win. Well, Fnatic thought the opposite of that. They continuously looked for 3v5s. They teleported behind SK's lines without any other vision, and they would get collapsed on. It turned into complete mayhem. There's a good clip of Vedius, just he can't take it anymore. So what am I watching? And that was exactly the feeling. So if you want to watch mayhem, watch the game, but don't watch it if you want to watch a good game, because it's definitely not a good game. So yeah, it was crazy that Fnatic, even though they had a lead and were in control of that game at the start, they actually managed to throw it. Props to SK, obviously, for fighting back. Blue had a terrible start to the game, but found a way to become one of the carries on the team. Lilip was playing well. Treats was as usual playing well. I think just in general, the way SK came back was pretty impressive. And they kept their playoffs dream alive, even though the chances are very slim. They are still in the running because of this win. And Fnatic, yeah, well, whatever. Final game of the weekend was match of the week. It was G2 versus Misfits. It was also a pretty boring game, honestly. All the hype matchups were not explosive, I guess. Both, like, with all teams playing kind of controlled. We had Rogue stomping Fnatic. We had Mad Lions not doing much against Rogue, and then just with one shot beating them. And G2 versus Misfits was just a very clean game from G2. They didn't apply pressure unnecessarily. Misfits wasn't able to do much back into them. So yeah, it was a very simple win for G2. I cannot say anything else about it. Caps was playing well. Jankos was playing well. It was simple as that. Mickey was playing well, I guess. And Misfits couldn't do much about it. It was, I don't know. I expected G2 to win, I guess. But it was not as remotely as entertaining as the first time these two teams met, because then you had a dominant G2, and then all of a sudden, obviously, the turnaround when Misfits got the Elder Drake. But this was just a very clean game from G2 where they won. And with that, let's take a look at the standings in the LEC as they are at the moment. Rogue is in first place with 11 wins and 4 losses. Then we have Fnatic, Mad Lions and Misfits, each in second place with 10 wins and 5 losses. G2 is in 5th place still with 9 wins and 6 losses. Astralis and Excel share the 6th place with 6 wins and 9 losses. SK Gaming and Vitality are just behind that with 5 wins and 10 losses. And in last place is Shogun of Fear with 3 wins and 12 losses. So now for some brief thoughts on each team, because I think there's not much to say about many of these teams at this point. From the bottom up, Shogun of Fear has been eliminated from playoff contention, so their final split in the LEC before they sell to BDS will be over, yeah, just next week. They have 3 more games and it's done for Shogun of Fear. Disappointing, obviously, for them that the split and their time in the LEC ends like this. I do think that they had a suboptimal roster to work with. I also think that Gilius should have played earlier in the split. Just some change needed to happen and they didn't. It is what it is. Shame for Shogun of Fear, obviously, but yeah, that's life. That's competition. Vitality, I think, is really lost. In the first weeks, we said, okay, this team has a lot of energy, but they need to channel that, and they have failed to do so, and they continue to fail to do so, even with Shigenda now on the team. I think Leader is incredibly unstable in his play, and overall, this team is just not a team, and that's going to hurt them. I think that they will not make playoffs, and they have a very realistic potential of finishing 9th or something like this. So, yeah, it's sad, but I guess this team just didn't manage to get along and get in line in 8 weeks of time, which is what other teams did manage to do. So, can't really blame anybody else but them. SK Gaming then, pretty impressed that they are still in the running for the playoff spot, honestly, because this is not what I expected. I think the sad thing for me about SK Gaming is that seeing this roster now and realizing that they messed around for weeks at the start of the split with Jesse's in the roster, which was just an objectively terrible decision. Realizing that this roster, as it is now, could have made playoffs. They still can. I don't think they will. I think it's going to be a Astralis or Excel, but still, seeing this roster now play, it's fine. You know, it's not a top contender. It's not going to perform super well. Even if they make playoffs, they'll probably be eliminated at the first round. But it's better than what they were, and at least the team seems to be having fun. I still think that Treats and Genox deserve better teams, because I think Genox is a very good top laner, and I think Treats is just one of the best players. It's a very good player overall. Maybe not one of the best players, but he's a very good player overall, so he deserves a team where he can play his primary role and go from there. Excel, I guess Excel, man, they had such a good start when Markoon and Advient came in, and now they're kind of finding their stability, because that was a honeymoon phase and they fell off and realized, okay, we need some proper strategy, and I guess that's something that they are finding now. I still think they're inconsistent in how they execute their strategy and how they execute their plays. I think they bank a lot on the engage and carry potential of Markoon and Nuke Duck, which they have, and they play around it pretty decently. And I guess they're in a playoff runner spot, and they still have a chance of making it to the playoffs, and that is something that is exciting for them. And it's going to be interesting to see if they are able to this time perform under pressure, because last year, summer, when they barely missed out, they had, I think they won their final 3 games, if I'm not mistaken. So that was pretty good. But other than that, I don't know. Excel is a weird one. Excel is a weird one for me, because they also had their roster trouble at the start of the split, which was also just weird. And for Excel, I think there's a lot of improvement still in the team, but it's undeniable that this team is slowly really finding their synergy, and that's good to see. Astralis then, yeah, I think steady improvement from Astralis this entire split. They are not clean, as you know, no team really was this weekend overall, but especially obviously the bottom 5 teams are not going to be clean. They are, though, pretty nice to watch. It's been nice to watch their development, I think. They went from a team that had trouble in the early game and had to fight back later to a team that now plays very proactively, as we've seen in the past 2 games, which is promising. And I'm very curious to see if this team will make playoffs, because I don't think that is anything that anybody would have guessed at the start of the year, that this team would be able to make playoffs. Maybe towards the end of the spring split, I think I said that if this team stays together, maybe they are in contention for a playoff spot. But yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with what this roster has been able to pull together, even if not all our games are super clean. It's a fun team to watch, in my opinion. G2 then locked their playoff spot. Good, okay, nice, great job. You need to still do better than what you've shown so far. You're 9-6, which is fine. And if you win your next 3 games, you'll end the split with 12-6, which is pretty good. But I think for G2, their game against Misfits is the most important one of showing what they're capable of, because it was very clean, very control over the game. And yeah, I think G2 is on a good path for steady improvement and will get there in time for playoffs. So that's good to see. Misfits then, I think Misfits is fine. I don't think at this point that I would say that it will make Worlds. I think that their best of 1 performances are gonna not translate very well into best of 5s, but this team is pretty clean. They have a very strong top side. Veteo is also a very good mid laner, and they have a solid bot lane. I don't know what else to say about Misfits. I think they don't really have a very strong identity of how they want to approach the game. and they maybe not also as flexible in what they want to do. I think they're a bit more random in their approach, but overall, pretty fine. Mad Lions. I think Mad Lions this weekend was very important for their mentality because they came off the back of a very rough week in week 6 and now had a very good week with 2 wins. Even if the wins weren't as clean, I think that what they really showed to me is that they are able to play more playstyles, which is a huge confidence boost. They are not just a team that continuously look for action. They were super controlled this game, which was very impressive. So good showing from them, and this is hopefully a first step of many towards Mad Lions getting to their old level. That made them win the spring split. Fnatic. Man, Fnatic was a disappointment this weekend. 0-2. Yeah, what else can you say about it, right? Their game against Rogue, they didn't manage to do anything. They got completely stomped. Their game against SK Gaming was horrible. They completely messed up against one of the weakest opponents in the league, which it reminded me a lot of what I saw Odo Amne say on Euphoria, where he said that Fnatic did just do random things, but he just happened to be good at them. And that is what they did here as well, I think. And finally, we have Rogue. Rogue also didn't have the greatest week, I think. Against Mad Lions, it showed that they aren't as great at adapting to what their opponent brings as I thought. I think they got stuck in their formula of playing around the map and didn't acknowledge well what Mad Lions wanted to do with their composition, and that bit them in the ass. In the end, it's a best of 1. So I think that Rogue, they really should learn from this and really should start looking into, okay, how, will we adapt later on? But they're still the strongest team in the league. I think they very much showed so against Fnatic. Inspired is just the best player in the league at the moment. Yeah, it's good for them. And obviously, now we have 5 of our 6 playoffs teams with Rogue, Fnatic, Mad Lions, Misfits, and G2 all there. And it's going to be exciting to see which team locks up the final one. So that is it for that. Then let's do a quick LEC SuperFantasy standings in my lobby. Obviously, as I said, you can still join if you really want to. It's going to be tough for you to climb the ranks in my lobby now, but let's have a look at the top 10 as it is now. We have Faramir first place firmly with 4,645 points, and he's probably just going to win this one because his gap with the rest is huge. We have Witta in second, Ben in third, Queen Dobrev in fourth, Mevi in fifth, Stipan in sixth, I am in 7th place, Laniri is in 8th place, then we have Loco X in 9th place, and Lucky Reed is in 10th place. And that is it for my LEC recap. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I have 2 interviews I'll be posting in this channel, so if you like that, make sure to follow that. If you want to follow other content I make, follow me on Twitter. It's linked here below. It's not linked, it's displayed here below. You still need to type it on Twitter. I'll have 2 articles coming out next week that are pretty important to me. So I hope you enjoy that type of content as well, or value it, I guess. Not all of them are particularly enjoyable. So a little bit of a teaser, but I'll see you all in my interviews, hopefully. And take care. Stay tuned for more content.